All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, Jamie Noodles McLennan, and there he is again. Jonas Siegel of The Athletic. I love it. How we feeling? How we feeling?
Jonas. Oh, wow. I got something for Jonas right off the hop.
Let's do it.
Are you happy about your boy Juan Soto?
Hayes was asking me yesterday. It's like a victory lap for me. I feel like $800 million richer.
Yeah,
Feel
you
great.
personally pumped his tires to the point where Steve Cohen said, I have to have this guy. Jonas Siegel believes he's the greatest hitter in the history of the game. I'll pay him whatever the price is.
Yeah.
So I hope you're getting 10%. Or at least
I'm a Mets fan now. Like that's what it is.
You're willing to flip. So you're more of a Juan Soto fan than you are an individual club team. Is that how you operate as a sports fan?
I've always kind of been that way, actually.
I've never understood that. You're not alone.
Tell me.
Because there's a lot of different people I've met, especially in this industry, and I understand in the industry it's a different world.
Yeah.
Because, you're covering teams, you see the sports world kind of behind closed doors, under the hood, and it makes you feel a little bit different, myself included. I am a different sports fan today than I would have been 15 years ago. But I have heard people say that. I think Dave Naylor might classify as one of these guys. Fans of individual players, but no teams. Like there isn't one team.
That's me.
I don't get that, Noodles. I gotta get you a team for Christmas. Can I get you a team, please?
No, because it's better. And I want you both to weigh in on this. I think it's better with the job that I have to do. Okay, I call Ottawa Senators games. I follow the Leafs. I've watched every second they play. I'm from Edmonton. All my buddies grew up and Oiler fans. Struddy's one of my best friends. I used to play for the Flames. The godfather of my son is the vice president of the team. So I have lots of reach throughout. One of my best buddies is in management in Florida. So you've got like all these situations throughout the league. So I like players. I'm happy for people when they have success. It was weird watching Edmonton and Florida in the finals because I had friends on both sides. And, you're kind of like you're talking to one person on the Edmonton side going, yeah, you guys are making it back in there. And then you're talking to, Brian McKay, but I run into him on the street and he's like, God, I hope we get it done tonight. And I'm like, yeah, it would be great. Like, to me, I have to stay impartial. I don't, and I swear on my life, I don't have a favorite team, but I have favorite players. And you guys know Morgan Riley's one of my favorite players. I just love the guy, but I love him as a human, but I think he's an awesome player too. Yeah. You go through the league. Like I've obviously developed some friendships with some of the guys with the Senators because they, I've been around the team for 6-7 years, type of thing. So Brady Tkachuk, I get this. I know him a little bit on a personal level because I know his dad and his brother. So I honestly don't have a favorite team, but I do cheer individually for guys. I think, is that weird? Is that strange?
Listen,
I don't know.
Again, I think within the hockey world, I guess I can accept that from both of you. I don't know if I could live in that world. I have favorite players. I have players I love to watch play that are not associated with my favorite team. But I want to turn on TV and be like, now, gambling can do this, I'll admit it. That's a very degenerate comment to make. I was a big Broncos fan last night. I've never stepped foot in Denver, and I couldn't care less about them today. Now, once the game's over, I'm no longer a fan of them. But not having a dog in the fight, and putting hockey aside, like hockey, I'll grant you. But you're telling me between the two of you, there isn't one team, between Jamie McLennan and Jonas Siegel, there isn't one team, football, basketball, baseball, live golf. Are you Four Aces fan?
That like I ride and die with?
Yeah, F1.
No, zero.
Can you be a Ferrari guy, Jonas? Give me something.
No, zero.
Nothing.
I just like watching the best games, like watching the best teams.
That to me is crazy.
I don't have any.
That to me is
I don't
just
feel
living.
that.
You're not living.
I wish
you aren't living.
I kind
of
wish,
alive.
Though I had it, because like it would be nice to kind of like be so invested in something, but I'm just not. Noodles, aren't you the same?
I am, but like I'll give you an example. I think I told you this last Christmas there, Hayes. Like my son goes, I want a Justin Herbert jersey. I'm like,
nice.
I don't even like where out of nowhere. I'm like, you even like the Chargers? Like, so I had to hunt down an NFL jersey and have this thing mailed to the house or whatever. Like, so I was like, okay, I kind of like the Chargers, but then I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just, I don't have, for some reason when it comes to NFL football, and I just had a spirited debate with my buddy Rhett Warner because he's like, well, you're in Toronto. You have to cheer for the Bills. And I said, well, I do, because I think Josh Allen's amazing and, it's close proximity. But I said, I kind of liked the Patriots there for a while with Belichick because I always.
So you're a front runner. That's what it is.
No.
Exactly.
No. Hold on a second here.
Okay.
Here's why I like the Patriots. Because everyone wanted to knock them off the pedestal.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, deflate gate and drone, like filming.
Spygate and
like,
So you felt bad for them, all that winning.
So
empathizing with Bill Belichick.
I felt bad for them. See, but now
Yeah,
I'm not.
it's so rough.
I'm not in Kansas City. I'm not. It should be Kansas City, right? Everybody should be on that train. I'm not on that. I felt like I was because I love Andy Reid, and that video, we should pull up the video where he's like 14 years old and he looks like he's 8 feet tall against the other kids.
Because he is 8 feet tall compared to the other kids. Andrew Reid.
But I don't love Kansas City. I think I'm just Taylor Swift out.
Listen.
I think the whole story is too much. I'm starting to believe the narrative that maybe the refs do give them the benefit of the doubt on some of these calls. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just the X narrative or whatever. I don't have a favorite team, but I kind of always lean towards, honestly, Hayes, because of you, I watch Green Bay. I do. Like,
Jump
I kind of like
board,
this Jordan
publicly
Love.
owned, right? Joe Bowen would love to hear that too. The whole Bowen clan.
Yeah.
I got to get you guys
lean in on a team.
I'm going to get you guys a
lean
team
in.
because I don't think you're living, man. I think you guys are playing it safe here.
Okay,
It is.
Let's put it to a vote.
Let's.
You know what? Like, find a team for us. Like, we can have some people write in or whatever. What would be a perfect team? Now, not hockey because I just
Take hockey
I can't
out
be
of it.
biased.
Hockey's
Take hockey out of it.
Hockey's
Find
out.
me a team. Like, is it the Boston Red Sox? I kind of like the Yankees.
And you know
there
what?
for a while when
Noodles
I was
can't
you
We'll
know,
root for them
Sox and
together.
Yankees. All right, the two of you will attach you to a team. It's got to be there's got to be some sort of parameters to it.
Yeah,
But I need you guys to join the real world. And listen, maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's more of your kind out there, right? Maybe there's more of the Jonas and Noodles.
It's nice.
type.
Hayes, you should try it. Like, you turn off the game, you don't feel anything. You're just.
It reminds me. There's a famous Hunter S. Thompson quote where he asks, "Who is a happier man? He who has braved the storm of life and lived, or he who has stayed securely on shore and merely existed?" That's you two, existing on shore.
Me. I will
I'm in the
say,
storm, man. I'm riding it out, and I'm living, and I'm a happy man.
Doogie just got into my ear, and he is correct. Okay, I did have a team growing up. It was the Edmonton. Now they are called Elks.
The Elks.
Back then
Okay,
it was
you're on board with
Eskimos,
the
but
Elks.
I was because I watched them. I used to go to the games, and then I did work for. At that time, they were called the Eskimos. I worked for them during training camp every summer. I worked with Joey Moss for like 3 or 4 years.
Awesome.
Him and I were the laundry guys there.
That's
for
great. Joey
training
Moss.
camp. So,
what a legend.
Oh yeah, it was. He was a beauty. But I did follow that team, and that was a team that that's Matt Dunnigan, that's Tracy Ham, like those guys.
Yeah.
But honestly,
they were awesome. And Matt, we know who Matt is. I mean, Matt's a legend here now, and.
I know, but I've let them go. Strutty's still a fan of them. I've let them go. I didn't like the change to Elks. I didn't like the name. Strutty has these like elk horns that he wears. It's ridiculous. But honestly, I've let them go. But you got to find me a team, Hayes.
All right, we will. We will do that. It's coming up at 6:30. Dear Santa B is coming up, and I'm going to try to be handing out some gifts or some knowledge or whatever I can, and I'll try to supply you two with the perfect team to jump on board with. So that's coming up later this afternoon. Dave Cameron will join us in about 20 minutes. World Juniors got off to a good start last night. It's a pre-tournament game. It's a tune-up against Switzerland, but Easton Cowan with a hat-trick. He looked good, and we'll catch up with Dave and get his take on the training camp, the cuts, the team, what he does with young players who appear to be burgeoning superstars if they're not already. So we'll catch up with Dave in about 20 minutes. And, man, this happened quickly. We were talking Matt Murray yesterday. And not only is Matt Murray back, he's playing tonight.
I don't know what's going on.
Matt Murray's back,
and
he's playing tonight in Buffalo.
But where's
What do you
Joseph
make of it?
Woll? Where's Joseph Woll?
I don't know why
understand.
Wall. I thought the same thing. Wall plays tonight, and then Wall plays Monday. This honestly leads me to believe Murray's going tonight and Monday. I'm not convinced Wall's playing on Monday at all.
Is he playing on Saturday?
I don't know, because it's a good point. Today at the skate, he wasn't even on the ice.
And they said it was maintenance.
This is my biggest fear, man. This is the biggest fear, and it's a mojo thing. And let me clarify where I was yesterday, because we were having a conversation, Noodles, on should it be Hildeby, should it be Murray?
Yeah.
I thought they'd stick with Hildeby. I know Hildeby hasn't been great, but to me, they've won with him. He's young. He's got a future with this team. If they want him to go down there and start playing, so be it. I will give Matt Murray a ton of credit for battling back to the National Hockey League. It is a story that cannot be rained down with negativity. There's a difference between should he be playing or not, but now that he is, 628 days since his last NHL start, he's made a ton of money. He's won cups. He could have easily said, I'm out of here. I don't need to do this. He went through the surgery. He went through the rehab. He battled. He went down to the minors and rode the buses, and now he's back. Yeah. So full credit to Matt Murray. It is an incredible story that he's doing this. But the idea that he's going tonight and Joseph Woll is not on the ice for maintenance when Stolarz is out for upwards of 6 weeks, if not more, this is just exactly what you were always concerned about. And I'm telling you, if Joseph Woll is not skating out and playing tomorrow, because he is going to back up. They did say he's going to dress tonight and back up. If he doesn't play tomorrow night and he's injured already with something that's tweaked, it's worse than opening night. I don't know if it's worse than what happened in Game 7, but this is when the team needs you. You're 26 years old. They've committed to you. And I don't want to get out in front of it without knowing exactly what's happening yet, but it is a little bit strange that he's not playing tonight and he was not even on the ice this morning.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's just a flu or something, but maintenance, I don't know what that means.
But they would have said that, right?
They would have. I don't understand. Listen, Matt Murray, Jonas, you and I were back and forth today. Like, I understand Matt Murray. Here's the problem that I have when you're developing, because my understanding, and I laid eyes on this guy live, the Russian, I don't want to butcher his last name because
that should be his nickname, just the Russian.
The Russian, the
like
Russian
he's from
goaltender with the Marlies.
Rocky movie.
He's got some upside. Like, he looks like he's going to be a goaltender, which is really good for the future of the Toronto Maple Leafs because he's young and he's got to go through the process. But there's 3 goalies in the minors, so that's the other thing. You've got Hildeby, Murray, and the Russian, and there's not enough net. That's the challenge. Like, when Hildeby came up, I did the game on the panel. I'm like, this guy's played 6 games with the Marlies. Mm-hmm. So it's tough to get into a groove when you talk to, people around the Marlies or whatever. Yeah, he's been okay, but, hasn't played a lot because there's 3 goalies. It's a rotation. So it's tough. Like, I understand the thought process behind Matt Murray because it's exactly what you just laid out, Brian. Because if Joseph Woll's not available, Matt Murray has to be. Like, this is an NHL vet who's done everything. It's a good signing by Brad Treliving because this is your insurance policy. That's your Martin Jones, but this guy's won cups. Martin Jones has won a cup too.
Assuming he gets back to that level. I know he's played well with the Marlies, but he also, Martin Jones was a guy who was playing back-to-backs last year.
He played 50 games the year before.
Played a ton of games in the year before.
I get it.
Like, Murray is a totally different wild card because of his history, because of the injuries. And that's what we were saying yesterday. Like, a Murray-Joseph Woll tandem is a terrifying proposition, I would think, for the training staff, for the coach, for the GM.
For the training staff.
Like, honestly, they're thinking we're in one here. Like, we're in the storm. We're not back on the shore, right? We're in the storm.
They're in there with you.
In there with me. I'm braving the elements, man. But, again, once they're playing, you're good. Once the puck drops, like, they'll be okay, you would think, unless it's not like Stolarz did leave the game in the second period the other night. But it's getting to puck drop is a mystery, and maybe this was the plan anyway. Murray or Hildeby would go tonight. I figured Woll would go tonight, off tomorrow, and then play Monday against Winnipeg. It's an afternoon game too.
That's what raised my alarms a little bit. Is like he's going to play Saturday night, and then he's going to play 2:00 on Monday. Is that?
I'll believe it when
now,
I see it. Unfortunately,
a different goaltender, I'd be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not a different goaltender.
Like, if it's Hellebuck's of course doing that.
Course.
Like, no
Hellebuck's
question.
playing every game. Doesn't matter to him. But you're right. Like, the trust factor. I think that's what it is, though. Until we don't have to have these conversations, they're still there because we don't have a large book on Joseph Woll. We don't have a large book on Anthony Stolarz. Really, Matt Murray, we don't have what's the book on Matt Murray that we've seen over the last couple of years? Him in and out of the organization, unavailable, then sent to the minors. Like, to me, the book is kind of
it's like
jaded
a pamphlet
a little bit.
Yeah,
like it's just so. That's the biggest challenge. Now you see Hildeby get some games. He's a big goaltender. I think he needs some growth there. But it's still a question mark where, what was it, Hayes? 10 days ago, we're talking like the Leafs have the best tandem in the league.
Yeah.
You're going.
Hayes wanted Woll to play every game.
I wanted him to play a lot, and here's the issue, right?
Yeah, there you go. This is what I told you.
I hear you, but like you said yesterday, you want to play the top line together to know what you've got. I would say it's the same thing with Woll.
That's not the same.
You got to actually expect the guy to play at some point.
Well,
again, he hasn't been ruled out for anything, so I don't.
No,
want
to be
jump
clear,
to conclusions.
They have said he is available.
Yes,
but he also did not skate after a day off.
After a day off yesterday, and it's Joseph Woll,
who didn't play on opening night.
Or Game 7, the biggest game of his career. And listen, Matthews didn't either.
Yes.
And Auston, he's going to play tonight, but Auston didn't skate this morning, which is not the end of the world. But it is December. He missed 3 weeks. There have been different shifts. I think we've all seen it where it looks like he's laboring a little bit. There are times where the Jets go on. Like you think of that Jersey game. He took off a few times through the neutral zone, and you could tell he had his wheels. And then a couple times over the last few games, I think, the three of us, and I think everyone's seen it, you're like, he looks like he's lagging a little bit. Here's what Craig Berube had to say on the plan for Auston Matthews moving forward.
It's tough. I mean, he's fighting through it, and he's doing, he's doing a pretty good job out there on the ice. Like, he's producing and playing hard and working, and, we just got to manage it. It'll get better. We just got to manage it, though, and, that's why he's off the ice today.
So
manage what?
That's the thing. No one knows what they're managing.
Yeah.
So why is he playing tonight?
Well, I mean,
and why would he play tomorrow?
The guy's got to. I guess they believe that it can't get worse. What I would question there again with Craig Berube is very blunt and kind of matter of fact, and I don't think he puts a ton of thought into details of anything in the future. He just seems like a guy that's locked in the moment, which I appreciate, and I think that's important in pro sports. It's not his job to necessarily worry about 3 months. He has details of the game and all that kind of stuff in preparing. But he has almost become a meme, Craig has, with everything's day-to-day. Everything's going to get better. Everyone's okay. And I don't know how much you can really rely on that update. I think if you're a Leaf fan and you're listening to that, there has to be some genuine concern about Auston Matthews. And what his status is, and will it actually improve to the point where he's one of the 3 or 4 best players in the world again when it really matters at the end of the year?
I'm more concerned, guys, and I don't know how this has just come about. It's like, he's fighting through something. I thought they shut him down so that he came back 100%.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, he's kind of fighting through something, but they're confident enough. Obviously, if he's playing, listen, their doctor staff, I know them. They are the best on the planet. I'm not lying. The Leafs they afford the best. They bring the best. I have full faith in that medical staff. They are the best. So it's obviously something they're not concerned because he's putting a jersey on. But it is a little bit weird. Is it just something he's going to have to live with the rest of his life? Is it something that it's going to take a couple months just through osmosis to work through? I don't know. We don't know those answers. But I didn't know where we arrived back to, he's kind of fighting something. I'm like, I thought that was the time off so that he could heal
Noodles,
and not fight something.
Think further back. So training camp happens. Something happens, right? Where something happens. We don't know the injury, but something happened. He plays through it the first, I don't know, I think it was a month. And then they're like, he's not playing. And then he sits for a while, and it's not getting better. So he goes to Germany, and then he comes back, and then he plays, and then he still doesn't look like he did last year. And so you wonder, does time off actually help? So maybe sitting tonight won't actually do anything. And then it's maybe this is just going to be one of those years where the whole year he's just kind of 70%. I don't know.
That's again a scary proposition for the Leafs because of who he is and how important he is to their program. And it's going to put more and more emphasis on the other guys to continue to lift up. And again, they're in a really good place in terms of wins and losses. They're in a great place, even with Auston Matthews not playing at a heart level of play. I mean, that's where he's been for the majority of his career in his prime. He literally won one a few years ago. Last year, I think he finished fourth. He could have won it, and no one would have batted an eye. The guy had 69 goals. He has not been anywhere close to that level, and it appears with every passing day and every update like that, you move away from, well, it's him trying to figure out the system. It's him, the weight of the captaincy. I don't think it's any of those. Like it seems.
You guys like that first
clear.
goal against Dallas. That doesn't look like him.
He was basically like skiing down the ice. Like he was not hauling ass at all.
It didn't look like he could.
Yeah, it didn't look like he could move up another level in another gear on the back check. That's something he, at a minimum, puts more pressure on. The defense or the player, the Stars player. He couldn't do it. He couldn't get up to speed.
Steele kind of got a step on him. I kind of gave him a bit of a pass on that. I was like, okay, end of shift. He's kind of like, he tries that little like lift the stick move, and you kind of got to stop on it to kind of pull it. And Steele got around it, so then now you're behind it. And you're right. Like I just think when he's 100% healthy, he probably puts himself in a better spot to not have to make that move. He either pushes the player off or can skate along with Steele and then lean into him. But I just think my whole concern outside of just a goal or whatever is my bigger picture with Auston Matthews is I just hope that it's something that, when the season is on the line down the stretch. Right now we're December, everyone looks good, everything's fine, they're winning regardless of the situation. But when the press is on in March and into April, and like that's where I'm concerned that Trey Berube's coming out and going, yeah, he's laboring with something, and we're trying to do, like, that's my concern.
This is 2.5 months later, though.
5 months from now, 4 months from now.
And listen, you hope it doesn't get to this point. But if it's never not improving, everyone knows what the next step is.
Shut down and surgery or something
and
like
that's
that, right?
That is a nuclear option, and I don't know if it's on the table. We don't even know what the injury is.
Well, that's exactly we can't speculate, right?
Well, we can.
We can.
They force speculation, right? Like you don't
and
say.
Also,
what
just
do we do?
The history of sports. This is what happens. Like we all follow sports closely. This is just the lineage of a player who can't get going enough. Eventually it gets to a point where maybe the player decides, I got to do something different here. And it could be Matthews pushing through, saying maybe I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine he would go against the wishes of the medical staff, but he's going to give it a shot. And I credit him for that. But I think it's a legitimate question right now for Leaf fans. Is it Auston Matthews or the goaltending position? Like where do you go to first when you think this could be a bigger concern long term if health doesn't arrive?
That's impossible.
For me, it's goalie, because there's other, like through by committee, you can score, you can defend, all of that. Goaltending is your last line of defense, and if you don't have somebody that you don't trust, we saw what happened. Like Joseph Woll was playing, all of a sudden it's who came out for Game 7 there? I'm drawing a blank on his name. Samsonov.
Yeah.
Right, like Samsonov skates out, and you're just like, what is going on here? Like that's, to me, goaltending is, you only notice it when you don't have it. Ask the Ottawa Senators. Ask, teams that have had, ups and downs, and you can't judge a team. Ask the New Jersey Devils last year, who couldn't get a save. And then all of a sudden they go and get Markstrom, and like, look where they are. Now they're climbing back near the top of the standings, or getting there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they're a good team now, but you couldn't judge that team because you didn't know who was stopping pucks for them. That's my only concern is Joseph Woll. I think he's a fantastic goaltender and talented guy, but Hayes, what do you say all the time? Availability, right? That word.
It's the most important ability is availability. He's got to be capable of playing. And Stolar's the same thing now. Like Anthony is now going to be out for at least another month, I would think. It could be longer. You never know. And, there's a bit of a turnstile happening there. And yet they're in Buffalo tonight. The Sabres are 0-8-3 in their last 11. So this is a game where you'd think if you're Berube, like, show up early. Like, get all out of the gates fast tonight. Put one on the board quick. And that bench is going to completely sink.
It's a trap of all trap games, because I don't think the Leafs play that well in Buffalo.
They don't.
Historically,
Historically, they're not very good against the Sabres, home or away.
Sabres are winless in 11. Like, this is just a perfect storm of, like, you know what, you take them too lightly, Buffalo gets some luck, or, you know, they get a goalie that stands on their head, something. The Leafs have to find a way to douse any type of confidence early on.
Quick.
And then
get up 2-0 quick, and you know they're waiting to quit over there because they just don't have that
Right.
kind of confidence. But Lindy Ruff spoke on the crowd that is expected tonight. We'll play that a little bit later this afternoon. Get Mike Johnson to answer on that. Johnny knows what it's like to be a Leaf playing in Buffalo on a Friday night. This is an old-school throwback. It used to be Buffalo on Friday, Toronto on Saturday. How many home and away games did they play, you know, back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s? And there was always crazy with Domi and Ray, and Brad May would be in the middle of everything. It would just be an amazing back-to-back between these two teams, and I'm not sure we're ever going to see that kind of activity again. But Mike Johnson coming up. Luke Wilson will join us back into the Thursday nighter last night and turn the page onto the other games in Week 16. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Mike Johnson in about a half an hour. Johnny, as far as I know, still in the NHL world, I guess, you know, partially tracking the NHL. But as of last night, and certainly by Boxing Day, it's all juniors all the time for MJ and Gord, and seen a bunch of internal emails. Gord Miller working on the pronunciation of all these different players. And he'll nail every single one. Every single one. Yet, at the same time, if he got one wrong, would anyone really know?
Knows.
You know, I don't think anybody's going to know. But Gord's a professional. Johnny's a professional. And we can't wait for the World Juniors. And the tune-up started last night, and they look good against Switzerland. And that's us saying it. I'm curious to hear what the head coach has to say. Here he is, the head coach of the World Junior team. Here's Dave Cameron back on Overdrive. How you doing, Dave?
Good, thanks.
How'd you feel about your effort last night?
There was a lot to like. I mean, it was, I think it was your typical first game. It was, first 10 minutes was a little feeling out process. Then we were able to generate some emotion through offense. And we kind of built, and we finished strong. So it's always good. You evaluate for this tournament your team at different stages. And it's not until you get against outside competition that you get a real handle of what you have and whether the plan you have in place has any chance of working. You can do the inner squad stuff all you like, but this exhibition series takes us to another level, and we're excited about it.
So what do you think you learned then from that game last night that maybe you didn't know prior to it?
Well, you always wonder when you assemble a team best on best, and you get the elite of the elite. And of course, when you pick your team, you're picking your team based on just that, a team. And so you have different players in different roles. And when you see them get into a game, and we realize for us to beat the best teams and to win this tournament, we're going to have to be pretty solid away from the puck as much as we're going to be able to create when we have it. And, to see Easton Cowan and Tanner Howe tracking back in a 7-1 game like it's a 1-1 game, a real good sign of a buy-in early, and that they realize it's just important to play on both sides of the puck.
Dave, was it easy to pick your leadership group as far as captaincy and stuff like that?
It was difficult, but it was easy. And what I mean by that was that it was difficult from the point of view is that we have a large number of guys that wear letters on their team, so we have quite a crew to pick out. And when you're picking from the elite of the elite, there's no real defining thing that says, okay, these three guys are heads and tails above anybody else. But it's also easy, from the point of view is that regardless of who you pick, that there's other leaders in that room. There's going to be great support from coming underneath because, as you know, the leadership goes way beyond the three guys wearing letters.
With Dave Cameron, the head coach of the World Junior team. World Juniors beginning Boxing Day here on TSN. You mentioned Easton Cowan and the back pressure he was showing late in the game. He also obviously was pretty good with the puck on his stick. He had a hat trick last night, and A lot of people here in Toronto very excited to see him on this type of a stage. We're well aware of what he did in junior last year, what he was looking like at Leafs camp and early in the year in London. But what would you expect out of Easton, not just based on last night, but what are you hoping his game looks like, and how much of an impact do you think he can have on your team come the real stuff starting on Boxing Day?
Well, the Leafs should be excited, that they have Easton, and I think he's at a 56-game point streak in the CHL with the London Knights in the OHL. So there's more than luck involved there when you go on that run. But he's such a competitor. He's really, really competitive. And what separates guys, from being good players to elite players to going on to play pro is that they can perform at such a high level, and they're a step or two ahead. And then throw in the fact that Easton has that and is real competitive on top of that. That's a real good tool set to have. And he's going to play a big role on our team. And he was one of the guys that, could have very easily gotten a letter, but we're going to rely on him for leadership also.
So when you win a game 7-1, and obviously it's a game that's just a feeling out process, are you more as a coach just trying to evaluate of the process of how the habits of the guys are, the chemistry of who you're going to play each other with? It's more of an evaluation other than just the wins or losses in the pre-tournament games.
Yeah, exactly, Jamie. It's we sit down and we have a plan and we put combinations together, but until such time that you let them play against competition, you're not quite sure. And we know this tournament that it's best on best, but there's some discrepancy in the talent of some of the teams versus the teams, that are top of it. But these kids, because most of these kids come up through the under-17 program, the under-18 program, and some returning from the World Juniors last year, they have a good understanding of that concept. And so when they win a game 7-1, I think they don't get too excited. There's some real battles there to know that there's a lot of heavier challenges coming down the road.
Dave, this is not your first rodeo at the World Juniors. You've been through this a number of different times, and I think you're aware of how the country kind of attaches themselves to one player in particular, especially if it's a young superstar that's coming. And that would be Gavin McKenna in this instance, where he just turned 17 today. Literally, it's his birthday today. He's 17. He made the team out of camp. I'm curious, what your plan is and what your message is to him in terms of what kind of role you intend on him playing, and what is a reasonable expectation? The whole country wants to know more about this kid. What is a reasonable expectation once you get to the real stuff?
Well, once you get over the off factor of watching these young guys come in, I'd Connor Bedard too. We watch these young guys come in at such a young age, and you're in awe of them and things like that too. So and then a big part of this tournament isn't just the play; it's being able to deal with the pedestal you put on and the pressure that comes with this tournament and the excitement of it and all that. So, you have to be really conscientious of it's a two-part equation for these players. It's bringing their skill and that, but it's also bringing it under the bright lights. And for a lot of them, this is the highest level they've played at so far. I mean, outside of Callum and Jet, who started this year in the NHL, this is their highest level. And so with the young guys, basically, I've learned through the tournament is that it's all right to ease them into it. It's all right to let them catch their breath and let them breathe and bring them along. And then when you start that way, their play then will dictate, where it goes from there. And I thought Gavin played last night. He played. He was real good with the puck on the stick. And the only complaint I would have, not really a complaint, is I thought he was too selfless. He could have shot the puck a couple of times because he's one heck of a shot too. So it'll be a work in progress, and we'll bring him along and we'll let the play dictate as we move through this tournament and the competition gets tougher.
With Dave Cameron, head coach of the World Juniors, Canada starting on Boxing Day in Ottawa. So it's on Canadian soil, which is always an incredible scene to see because the games are going to be in prime time, the building's going to be packed, and it's going to be 100% Canadian support every single time you play. So I think the benefits of playing on home ice are probably pretty obvious. I'm curious as a coach what you might guard against, or is there anything you might concern yourself with in terms of playing in Canada for a tournament like this?
Well, I mean, I think you always are a little bit careful about the excitement and the build up. TSN does such a great job with it, and that kind of can switch and flip over into pressure. And so you want them to be able to certainly enjoy it, and the emotion level, and that's going to be up. But you also got to just kind of keep reminding them that at the end of the day, all that matters is how they play. And this is a tournament that there's no easy games. This is a tournament, that's decided on sudden death games, and so it's going to come down to 2 or 3 hops, and whoever gets those breaks or whoever executes those type plays is going to go out and win the tournament. But we're quite. My experience tells me, and not just in this tournament, but in sports and playoffs in general, is it comes down because it's best on best. The talent pool is pretty equal amongst the top teams, so it's going to come down who is the best team, who turns that skill over to the team, and then you need a little bit of luck on top of that, and we'll go game by game.
You've got some good young goaltenders. Do you have a plan in place, kind of maybe a soft plan in place of how you want to deploy your goaltending throughout the tournament early on, or just kind of play it one game at a time type of thing?
No, we sit down and we have a plan, and it's a long-term plan, but it's also judged day by day, and on any given day so we have a plan in place, but early on we want to give all 3 a shot. We want to give them a look. We want to get them in, and then like everything else, we'll evaluate after each performance. And when you have 3 elite, that's rare in itself. Just 3 really good goaltenders, and so we'll work through that. Their play will dictate, and we're quite comfortable that all 3 of them are quite good.
Well, you're through one tune-up game. You'll be back at it before you know it, and Boxing Day is rapidly approaching. So we all await the start of the tournament. We can't wait for it, and we wish you nothing but success as always, Dave. Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
You got it. Dave Cameron, the head coach of the Canadian World Junior team. A little tune-up last night. Easton Cowan with a hat trick. Gavin McKenna had a couple of dangles last night that were pretty phenomenal.
He's going to be a good player.
Yeah, he looks like he might be worth the old maybe I'll tank next season type routine. Like look at these moves by this kid. Like that's the thing. Like, we've had the tanking conversation, and you talk to people in Chicago, they love that they have Bedard, but they hate the fact that the team is such a mess still.
Yeah.
I don't know how you handle it next year, and I'm not going to sit here and predict who could be in the position to do it and chase him down. But McKenna, Craig was on yesterday. Craig Button said he's the best player in the country right now. Best junior player in the country right now. If that's the case today, what's he going to be by next year? I mean, the kid's going to be a back-to-back World Junior player, and he's racking up points that are like Crosby levels and McDavid. Like it's crazy what he's doing. He's a player, that kid.
There'll be a few teams that'll be in that bucket to go, you know what, like if we're going one way, let's take our foot off the gas here and try and head down that. This Celebrini player, he's a player too, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like San Jose's got themselves a nice player. Like he might help speed things up there a little bit because he doesn't look overwhelmed. And it'll be interesting to see whoever gets McKenna. Like that's early on. I'm trying to take a little bit of a breath with Bedard because I think he's on the Nathan McKinnon pathway.
Yeah,
where
it seems
first
that way.
couple years, not as dominant, and then just overnight I felt like, and it wasn't overnight for McKinnon, but McKinnon went from like a 60-point level to like 90 to 100 points, over a summer. I felt like where he just turned a corner. I think Bedard's going to get there with the team around him. Celebrini, this McKenna, Canadian hockey is still in pretty good hands. I know people always like to, say, it's a world league, all of that. And I get it, but there's some fantastic players.
It's the goalies, Noodles.
Well, you're right.
But now they might
I watched
be on their way.
Bennington last night. It's
But that's
They
the
might
thing.
be on their way with these three kids.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
it's still
listen, they got a
5,
chance,
6 years
right?
away before any of them will be playing for the national team, but still.
Right. That's the thing. Like, you hope that these guys are good enough to at least grow with the group, because I think, players, if you ask me, and I've talked to lots of scouts throughout the league, it's easiest to make it to the National Hockey League as a forward, right? Because you can be hidden a little bit as a winger. Well, really, not as a centerman, but as a winger. Then a defenseman, then as a goaltender. So goaltenders, it might take them 6-7 years to become an everyday guy, like a Joseph Woll, who's 25, 26. Like, think about it. If you're drafted out of junior at 18 and you're just making the NHL at 25 and 26, that's 3 contracts. And that's a lot of time where a team looks at the goaltender and goes, when is this guy ever going to break through? That's the biggest challenge for goaltenders that are drafted either high or drafted by an organization and they draft and develop them. It takes a long time for a guy to arrive, where we see the impact of McKenna or Celebrini or Bedard. Obviously, those guys are special. But there are some good goalies. It just may take them till they're 25 or 26 for the light to go on.
That's why you wouldn't maybe necessarily want to pick them in the first round, because, like, am I going to be around for when this guy comes?
Yeah, it's the biggest challenge for scouts. They always are scouring depths. Jordan Binnington's a prime example. Man, he was a 4th or 5th depth chart goaltender for the St. Louis Blues, and then he ends up pushing through, helping to win a cup, and now the rest is kind of history. But there's lots of goaltenders. Anthony Stolarz is a prime example. He played for Edmonton, played for Philadelphia, played for Anaheim. He wasn't a number one. He wasn't a guy that they trusted every night, but man, he looked really good when he was playing for the Leafs this year so far.
Yeah, yeah, he sure has. All right, we got Mike Johnson coming up in 20. We've got Luke Wilson still to come later this afternoon. Al's brother as well, a bunch of picks, a couple of Saturday games in the NFL, games in the NFL on Sunday. And the Raptors losing last night. The Chargers with a big win. There's a lot to get into as we move forward. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Mike Johnson coming up. Luke Wilson still to come as well. But it is time for you to tell us where Al's brother was hiding this week. Where has Al's brother been all week? Call us right now at 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050. The first caller through with the correct location wins a pair of tickets to see the Leafs take on the Jets December 23rd. That's this Monday at 2 p.m. All right, there you go.
Do you have the answer now?
Do we have the answer? Do I have the answer?
Yeah.
I think he's in the distillery.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, pretty sure that's where I actually don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's where he is.
Well, some of his clues have been really soft. Like, I'll be honest. Like, there's been some really tough ones and then some other ones where I feel like he's mailed it in that week.
Yeah.
I don't know if this one, I missed yesterday's, so it wouldn't surprise me if he said he was just standing in a bar in the distillery district.
I think he was doing the hot chocolate thing, which I don't understand how hot chocolate became associated with going to the distillery. But I guess my understanding is there's some spot there that makes like really cool types of hot chocolate. It's all an Instagram thing. It's all TikTok and Instagram. If something starts to go viral, that's what is going to happen, right? Like that's where people have to be to say that they got the hot chocolate and hey, look at the tree. Because the distillery is a cool place.
It is.
I've been to weddings down there. Really, really cool place. But outside of the tree, what am I getting around Christmas where I have to line up for 2 hours to get in there? Do you have an answer for me, Jonas? You're a downtown guy.
I don't think I've actually ever gone there for the Christmas thing just because of that. I just don't get like what I'm going to wait for.
I don't know what I'm getting either. I'm purely ignorance. And to be clear, I have been down there during December. This would have been a decade ago. We went for dinner. It's a cool spot. The distillery is a really cool neighborhood. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I don't.
It's to get in the spirit, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But the idea of waiting in line, people are waiting hours to get inside to like the cobblestone area, not into a club, not into a show, into the area.
People did that for when Chick-fil-A came to Toronto and Krispy Kreme donuts or whatever. I remember remember when Krispy Kreme was like
massive.
Like I went to the original one. I believe it's in Anaheim. Like it's right by the rink. So years ago, went there, and those were like piping hot. Like it was.
They were
that was
great donut.
But the
God,
lineups for that were just out of control.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you had drive-throughs like going like 50 cars. It's like, are we doing this really?
Out of control. Like great donuts, but out of control.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
All right, so we're taking a break for the holidays, but another chance to win Al's brother. Not to win Al's brother, although that'd be quite a Christmas
that would
gift.
be awesome.
Al's brother's moving in with you and your family. Open the back door. He'll be quiet. He'll clean up after himself. That's what we're giving away this year. Surprise. Al's brother is moving in with somebody. But yeah, find Al's brother, and you can win more Leaf tickets starting in the new year right here on OverDrive. And, of course, it's brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora. Our family, the Ford family, and you. All right. So we'll hear Lindy Ruff on what he expects the crowd to be like tonight, what kind of impact it could have on the game. Leafs Sabres down in Buffalo. Islanders in town tomorrow. Matt Murray making his debut for this season anyway for the Leafs. And we're getting into a number of things, including some crazy stories happening throughout the country here in terms of hockey news and notes. So Mike Johnson will join us into the next hour. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.